I didn't know anything about the city. I never even heard of Coral Gables. I barely knew what Miami was. And so we loved it. We loved the fact that it was warm year-round, and it's been home ever since. We've really thought of ourselves as being from Coral Gables ever since then. You know, Coral Gables had an interesting history, and I read a lot about George Merrick, who had developed the city, and I started paying attention to the buildings that had been built by George Merrick in the 20s, because everything was getting torn down everywhere. So in 2018, I think I was just walking down the street, across the street from City Hall, and I saw this church that looked empty. It was called the Church of Christ Scientists. So over next to it was a larger church. That had not been used for 10 or 15 years. Both of these churches had been designed by the original architect of Coral Gables, whose name was Phineas Paste. And he designed City Hall, he designed the Douglas entrance, and the Venetian pool. So I started looking at this, and I brought over some people I knew from the Arts Center and the ballet, and I asked their advice. There's a need for this in town. We can turn this into a theater. And we tore down some seats and we built a giant stage. And then I bought a bunch of sound equipment, a bunch of lighting equipment. And then I was driving through a neighborhood called Homestead Estates, where a lot of the Bahamian American, African Americans who built Coral Gables lived. There was a sign in front of a building, a church. It's called the St. Mary's Missionary Baptist Church, first African American church in Coral Gables. And the roof had fallen in, so I got to thinking, well, I can tear out the interior, rebuild the roof, and provide arts down in that community. And then we did it. So now we've preserved 3 churches, presenting world-class art, local artists, children, all sorts of things that we do. We put on over 100 shows last year. That means every third day we put on something. I don't think there's a more beautiful city in this country than Coral Gables. George Merrick should be very proud of what he did. And I think this is just going to continue to be better and better and better in Coral Gables. And anybody who's been involved deeply in the arts like we have has seen what a good thing this is for children. I want that to be our legacy, is that we help develop this, we help save these buildings, and we help present something like this that can educate, present, entertain in the finest art forms.